everyone, welcome! March is here, the snow has finally melted, even the sun came out. It's still cold, but I'm very excited. And because it's March, the month of St. Patrick's Day, I wanted to remake this card with a lucky clover. It's not necessarily a St. Patrick's Day card, it's more like good luck card which you can give any time of the year. I made it a few years ago, but only as a vertical video, and I wanted to have it in a proper horizontal form. I'm going to paint it with watercolors more loosely. Before I do that, let me show you a few other ways you can create it, so you have a few more choices. First is using stamps. Clover leaves are pretty much in the shape of a heart, so if you have stamps with hearts and a green ink, you can easily create this. All you need to do is stamp the heart 4 times. Yes, 4 times. This is a lucky clover. I have a story for you guys, which I will tell you in a bit. Once you are finished with the leaves at the stem, I squished the ink on an acrylic block and used a damp brush, more specifically a liner brush, which helps to create thin lines, and I painted the line. But if you have a stamp with a stem or some kind of a line, you can use that. If you don't have stamps, other option is to use your brush as a stamp. Pick up the paint and stamp the shape of your brush with the tip facing down. I would say the best brush for this is a brush with a pointy tip. I did this technique for Valentine's Day. It's an easy and quick way to create hearts. As I was stamping the hearts with my brush, I had to move my paper around. This way it's much easier to do. For the stem, this time I did not use the liner brush, I just painted the stem with the tip of my round brush, which surprisingly looks very nice. Often I struggle creating thin lines with round brushes. My last alternative is to draw the hearts with a pencil and then use the paint to fill them in. I first drew the 4 hearts. Once that was done, I erased them slightly. This is just to lighten the pencil lines so you don't see them underneath the watercolor, but this paint is pretty dark, so I don't think it would be a problem. And once I was done with the drawing, I painted the hearts with the green watercolor. For a card, I would not draw directly onto my cardstock. I would draw first on something like a printer paper and then transfer it onto my cardstock. So those are the alternatives you can try. I think all of them look pretty good. For my card, I did sort of a loose watercolor painting. I also swapped the brush. I thought I'm using size 6, but I realized I'm using size 4. Does it really matter in this case? Not really. I started with drawing the heart with the brush. I actually started with a line in the middle, then I created the 2 loops, and then I filled them in. I mainly used the green, it's Hooker's green, but I decided to add a little bit of bluish color here and there. The paint is actually turquoise green deep. These paints are the Gonzai Tambi watercolors from techniques.A. The numbers of the paints are 52 and 57. But the brand is not really important. Use whatever you already have or is available to you. While I'm painting, let me tell you about a comment I got on the vertical video that I originally made. It was actually on Pinterest, and the commenter said, 4-leaf clover? 3 question marks. Someone has no clue at all. I was a little bit confused. What do you mean someone has no clue? Are you saying 4-leaf clovers do not exist? It was really puzzling to me. I did Google just in case, because I was doubting myself. And of course they exist. They are rare, but they exist. I guess that's why they are called lucky. I was even more confused because the person wrote in German, and if they are actually from Germany, on New Year's you can buy a pod with 4-leaf clovers with a little figure of chimney sweeper for luck. What can I say? Some people are really strange. Anyways, the painting is finished. I decided to trim the cardstock. You could also use a die if you have one. I just wanted the panel to be smaller than my card base. Next, I stamped the greeting using a black ink. Normally I use a stamping tool, but this is a smaller stamp. Acrylic block is sufficient. If you don't have stamps, you can just write it with a pen or don't include it at all. I don't think greeting is always necessary unless you're creating a background. Next, I use golden paint, also from Clover, and I painted the edges of the watercolor panel. This part is optional, it is just something I like to do. I also added splatter using the colors I use for the painting. This is another optional thing that I like to do. Sometimes I feel I add too much splatter. This is because the paint doesn't go where I want it to go. After the piece was dry, I adhered it onto a craft cardstock. Here I use double-sided tape. Most of the time when I use watercolors, I use liquid glue, but here I did not use too much water, so double-sided tape was fine. Lastly, and this is another completely optional thing, I decided to add clear droplets. I believe these are from Pretty Pink Posh. You can also use sequins or other embellishments. And to adhere them, I like to use glossy accents. Any clear glue should be fine. Since these are clear droplets, you want the glue dry clear instead of matte. I first assembled the droplets the way I wanted them to be, and then I glue them on, which finishes the card. I hope you enjoyed this card idea and will create something similar. Let me know which technique you like the most. If you would like to see other ideas with Lucky Clovers, I made a card where I used an embossing folder with watercolors. It's just a vertical video, but it's pretty fun. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.